just going to throw this in. Hildreth Mier was a graduate of the Academy of the Sacred Heart, 5th Avenue, New York. The RSCJs, many of you are familiar with them probably. They used to have a school up in St. Joe. And she became one of the most prominent women artists in the United States back in the Art Deco period. She was a student of Baron. She learned the Bourbonnais style and then fed that into the Art Deco period. So if you go to Rockefeller Center, who's been to Rockefeller Center? You probably weren't looking for this, but if you're standing at the skating rink and you look at the front entrances to all the buildings, you know, around Prometheus discovering fire and all of that, you see designs of Hildreth Mier. And it looks like that. Those are over the doors. Now that's a combination of Art Deco, but influenced by the Bourbonnais style, and of course you see the Egyptian influence again. And the lobby of Radio City Music Hall. She eventually came out to Nebraska, and she did all of the mosaics in the Nebraska State Capitol. The floors, the ceilings, the walls, all of that. She's a great lady. Now, I'm going to end with a quote here by John Ruskin. He was the philosopher around at the time of the arts and crafts movement. And he says, when we build, let us think that we build forever. Let it not be for the present use alone. Let it be such work as our descendants will thank us for. And let us think as we lay stone on stone, that a time is to come when these stones will be held sacred because our hands have touched them. And that men will say as they look upon the labor and the wrought substance of them, see, this our Father did for us. Now, if you take that quote and you get rid of the sexist language, it's a perfect description of what many of you did 20 years ago. How many of you were here 20 years ago? Yeah. You didn't build this building for yourself. You built it for those who would come after you. Because this building will be here long after you're gone, and I'm gone. And so what we're about even today is not here today and gone tomorrow, but it is for the next generation. And so, keeping that in mind then, we're going to show you some of the designs, and I know you're all chomping at the bit. When's he going to shut up and show us what they're doing? But I didn't think it was good for you to just see this cold. You need to have some background on it. And when you begin to see these images, you're going to see some Bourbonnais murals in these designs. Now when you look at them, understand that in order to give you an idea, we simply clipped artwork from the monastery of St. Hildegard in Germany, and we clipped art from Conception Abbey and simply put it into the computer program so that you can use your imagination and imagine what would it be like if our church, which is inspired by the arts and crafts movement, which melded with the Bourbonnais aesthetic, what would our church look like if we brought some of this influence to bear? And if we took it from simply wood and plain walls to a church that has illuminated walls with murals and lighting and all that good kind of stuff. And if that wasn't good enough, a church where you can hear, I know some of you have trouble hearing, and brighter lighting, a church where you can read the program. So we're going to start to introduce some of these concepts to you, and as soon as we do that, then we'll field your questions. Sound fair enough? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Excuse me. Why don't you just, nobody leave their chair, stand up, get the blood flowing, and sit back down. Shake a little bit. You've been in your chair for about, if you realize that you've been in your chair about 35, 40 minutes. Okay, there's nothing on the screen yet to look at. It will pop up in a minute here. My name is John Sova, and I'm with RDG Planning Design. And I have been working on Catholic churches and church work for over 20 years now. A lot of that with Brother William. It's been a great experience. And every time I sit in a room and hear him talk, I learn something. So I know you learned something about what we're doing or what we're going to be doing in the process. I know you all didn't come here thinking you were going to have an art class, a math class on pi, a Latin class on what words mean from Latin to English, and what else did I write down? And a history class. But you received all of that in preparation for setting up what we are wanting to do with the church and what the committee has kind of moved forward on a direction for setting up in the church. The other thing is when Father started, he mentioned that we were working on some other churches right now, and we are working on restoration of the Cathedral of Honolulu, and there's a little grumble in the room about working in Honolulu. There's two good things about being in Honolulu. Once you're there, it's really nice. Getting there is a long, long way to get there, if you've been there. And we were going to have this meeting here, but it wasn't in the budget. So we're having it here this afternoon. So sorry to disappoint you on that. In fact, when we were here 2 weeks ago, we had about a 4-hour meeting in the church upstairs. We went back to our hotel room and had a meeting start at 10:30 at night here, and we got done about 1 o'clock in the morning with the people in Honolulu from our hotel room. So we're working on a couple churches at the same time. So we do church work, and we love, I say that because we love doing church work, and it's what really motivates us, at least our firm, for architects. This is, again, nothing to comprehend, but this was what we set out with the committee on February, middle of February, and held them to, as Father and Mary Brother said, several meetings. We even added a meeting last week because we didn't get done with the previous meetings. Most of the meetings were 3 to 4 hours. We went through the different things that we needed to. We are sitting here on the lower right on May 3rd, talking to you and another group this evening to give you more information about what is going to happen. And it's been a very committed process to that. We set out at the beginning back in February to talk about some of the goals. And maybe number one goal was have fun along the way. Not take ourselves too seriously, but work hard and get the work done that we needed to do. And we wanted to answer some of the other things that were coming from the committee and the parish that we heard and that were explained to us what was going on. And so we've used these goals to kind of go back and always test when we come up with a solution or an item of what it might look like or what it's going to be. And we can come back to those if we want to. Some were personal, some were representing the entire congregation. I think one of the feelings was, the strong one that I remember was when people to experience the liturgy and leave the church with that experience fresh in their head. And so everything that we have done here that we're going to show you has been to enhance the experience of liturgy, as Brother William talked about it, in the church. And the pieces of art you're going to see are, as Brother William said, art is there to enhance the environment, to be a part of the environment and be a part of the liturgy as we go through this. And so we also approach this a little bit in that it's not necessarily a restoration. It is in some cases. In some cases it's a renovation, and in some cases it's innovation. What we're going to do with new lighting and new sound system. So it really is a church renewal, a church continuation of the church that was built over 20 years ago, and moving forward with that same kind of energy and enthusiasm for the church. As Father said, what you're going to see now are images that we are computer generated from the experience that we've been going through. They, as Father said, are not final images, so you're not going to see a final rendering here today. You're going to see what we've been working with as we go through the process. The first thing is the existing floor plan. This is your existing church floor plan. On here on the right would be the parking and the entrance into what you'll probably hear me refer to in Brother William as the narthex, or the gathering space, the entry to the church, the narthex. To the top is the existing day chapel, and to the bottom is the St. Joe's meeting room, the existing baptismal font, and then seating for about 1,000 people, the existing 2 confessionals, and then the existing sanctuary altar platform. And then in the far left, the tabernacle niche as you have it today. So that you're kind of see that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch it to a new floor plan that's going to come up. Hopefully. There it is. and some of the things changed. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. You're going to see these more in pictures. But we're going to show you some new images of the existing day chapel. We're going to show you a little bit of modification to the entry to the St. Joe meeting room. We are showing a distinct new baptismal font, about in the same location as the existing baptismal font, with some work going around on the floor. There are going to be some liturgical items, mainly in terms of the paschal stand and the ambry, which is where the holy oils are kept, and their relationship to the baptismal font. We're going to be doing some floor work, particularly in the main aisle, to kind of tie the new flooring around the new baptismal font to what is now a larger, expanded new sanctuary platform. It's expanded for a couple reasons. One is to allow us to get ramps on both sides where the existing shrines are, would be handicap accessible, wheelchair accessible ramps up onto the platform. We're extending the platform out from its current location about 6 feet, which is requiring us to remove the 2 front pews, rows of pews in the church. If you know, those pews don't really contain very many folks. Some of them are only 2 or 3 people in a pew, and we have determined that we can remove those pews, and by adding some pews in the back as we get going, we will replace the same amount of seating and thus not lose any seating in the final plan. Will also allow us to pick up about 6 feet in here for much more convenient and flowing for distribution of Eucharist in both species, as that's done on different times. We're going to pull the altar out a little further from its current location to make it feel a little bit more engaged with the platform and a little more out in the room, in the main room, the worship space. And then we're going to do some modifications to the tabernacle niche, and going to add a couple little wing walls to hide some of the service entrance, exit signs, and service doors into the storage rooms in the back. So you're not going to remember all that in plan. It shows up in plan because that's what we kind of want to do. So I'm going to just quickly go back, and you can see that's what you have, and that's what we're going to change it to. So the main seating isn't going to change, the structure isn't changing, none of that is really changing. What we've used them